So what are we going to cover today? Our learning objectives will be at the end of this session, you should be able to appreciate the origins and the development of social sciences, list the 6 main types of social sciences, name the methods used by social scientists, and describe social science philosophies. So, what is social and what is science? Terminology-wise, social relates to human society and how it's organised. Science is the study of physical and the natural world and phenomena, especially when you're looking at systematic observation and experiments. Topics that you'll appreciate more as you go through your program. So, what are social sciences? Well, social sciences are the field of human knowledge that deals with all aspects related to individuals and group life of all human beings. They're subjects that examine and explain human behaviour. And human behaviour, as you've already touched on in behavioural sciences, is the function of a person's characteristics and the characteristics of their environment. Look at the cartoon. Father saying to his son, "Son, I'm a social scientist. That means I can't explain electricity or anything like that, but if you ever want to know about people, I'm your man. You're a people person. And I believe as nurses, you are, to a degree, social scientists as well." So what is social science? Social science then is an academic discipline concerned with society and the relationships among individuals within that society. That's you. And it often relies on empirical or practical approaches which are dealt with through anthropology, economics, political sciences, geography, psychology, and sociology. All aspects that we'll be touching on. So, why is it important for you to study social sciences? Well, it's to acquire more knowledge about what it means to be human. It helps us as human beings and as nurses to know the mystery of the society and improve our interactions with each other and especially our patients. When we understand ourselves better, we understand our world better. And once we understand, we're able to identify problems and create solutions more effectively. These are some of the terms that we use in social science: society, socialization, social interaction, social processes and structures, and in abnormal situations, social pathology. What's society then? Society is defined as a group of people who share a common background related to economy, infrastructure, culture, and social situations. Then you have social interaction. And social interaction is how we interact with each other. And it emphasises how people react when in the presence of others. What are social processes? Well, these are processes that are repeated forms of social interaction between individuals and groups to establish and create social relationships. And there are various forms of social interaction such as cooperation, conflict, competition, exchange, and accommodation. What's cooperation? Cooperation is a process that occurs when two or more persons or groups work together to achieve a goal that will benefit many people. You've already done that when you did your teamwork, your group work, in your video presentation, your seminar, and your written work. It can be used with other forms of interaction. It gets things done. Cooperation. Then you've got conflict. Conflict is a deliberate attempt to control by force, oppose, or harm the will of another person. And conflict doesn't really have very many rules. Then you've got competition. Competition is when two or more persons or groups oppose each other to achieve a goal that only one can attain. Happens in politics. The Prime Minister or a President or the Chairman of a country wants to be the leader. However, it follows accepted rules of conduct. It can be positive, but it can lead to conflict. Look at what happened in the United States of America just recently at the last election. Donald Trump, Joseph Biden. Then you've got exchange. Exchange is when individuals, groups, societies interact in an effort to receive a reward for their actions. That's you. You all did something in the first semester, and what you wanted was to achieve a certain grade, hopefully the highest possible grade. Then you've got accommodation. Accommodation is compromise. It's truth. It's mediation. It's arbitration. Compromise is when two parties both give up something and come to an agreement. Truce brings a halt to a conflict until a compromise is reached. Mediation, you need a third party for that. And mediation, a third party acts as a counsellor in helping two parties reach an agreement. Arbitration is when a third party makes a decision that is binding on all the other parties. So, this is something for you to think about. Describe a situation in which you've used the following ways to solve a problem or gain a reward. Think about it. What was the outcome of the situation? Was it exchange, competition, conflict, cooperation, or accommodation? Think about it. You may be asked something like this in a future examination or quiz. Any questions? You can refer to me. Then we've got social structures. And social structures are a stable arrangement of institutions where human beings in a society interact and live together. Social stratification, most societies are separated into different strata. Stratification just means different levels. As you can see in the triangle, you've got the upper class at the top, upper middle class, lower middle class, working poor, and the underclass. However, the different strata can include family, religion, economy, and class. They're all forms of social structures, and there are more. These are just some. Then we look at social pathology. And social pathology describes social factors such as poverty, neglect, old age, crime, war. And these all are forms that encourage social disorder. and at the same time it refers to the study of these factors and the social problems that they typically cause. And they are in all societies. Let's review some of the historical timeframes. We look at Antiquity. And throughout Antiquity, we had the development and progress of human knowledge. And social sciences can be traced back right to the Greek civilization in the times of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Socrates was a classical Greek philosopher, approximately 469 to 399 BC. And he's credited as being one of the first Western philosophers. His notable ideas were on intellectualism. Then you've got Plato. Plato was an Athenian philosopher during the classical period, also in ancient Greece. And he was responsible for establishing one of the first institutions of higher learning in the Western world. And his areas were to do with Western philosophy primarily, and his interests were to do with metaphysics, ethics, politics, epistemology, art, literature, education, all related to society. 427, 347 BC. Then you've got Aristotle. Aristotle, time frame 384, 322 BC, another Greek philosopher, and he was the founder of certain types of philosophy along with his teacher Plato. And he has been called the father of Western philosophy. And his notable interests were biology, zoology, psychology, physics, metaphysics, logic, ethics, music, poetry, economics, politics and government. All aspects related to institutions and socialization and sociology. China. You've got Confucius, 145 to 86 BC. And the philosophy of Confucius emphasized personal and governmental morality and correctness of social relationships, being just, being sincere. Confucius' principles were based on Chinese tradition and beliefs, and they had a strong belief in family loyalty, ancestor worship, respect of elders by their children, and of husbands by their wives. And his principle basically was, do not do unto others what you do not want done to yourself, which was an early version of the Golden Rule, which was also professed by Jesus Christ. Stated in the Bible. And a lot of it is still very, very, very entrenched in China and Chinese philosophies today. Then you've got Biruni, 973 to 1048 AD. And this was an outstanding Muslim scholar who characterized the golden age of Islamic science. He was an anthropologist, an astronomer, a mathematician, a physicist, a physician, a geographer, geologist, and a historian. Then we go into the 18th century. You have Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And he was a French philosopher and writer in the Age of Enlightenment. And his political philosophy was particularly the formation of social contract, which is referred to as contractarianism. And it was strongly influenced by or during the French Revolution. And it was the development of this which created liberal, conservative and socialist theory. 1700 to 1800. The next philosopher, a French philosopher, Auguste Comte, 1798 to 1857, was often referred to as the father of sociology because he was the first one to use the term sociology. And he used that term in 1838 to refer to the scientific study of society. And he believed that all societies developed and progressed through three specific stages: the religious, the metaphysical, and the scientific. Now we make the transition into the 19th century, during the period of time during the 1800s to the 1900s. And this is when the main founders of the social sciences evolved. And you have the three main components being Max Weber, David Durkheim, and Karl Marx. Max Weber was a German sociologist, a philosopher, a jurist, he dealt with the law, and a political economist. And his ideas profoundly influenced social theory and social research. David Emile Durkheim, he was a French sociologist, and he formally established the academic discipline of sociology. Then you've got Karl Marx, which you've touched on numerous times in other courses and will touch on again in other courses that you'll be doing. He was a German philosopher, economist, historian, sociologist, political theorist, journalist, and a socialist revolutionary. However, all three are commonly cited as the principal architects of modern-day social science, as the three foundations, or the three founders of sociology. Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883, a philosopher, I already said, an economist, sociologist, journalist, and a revolutionary. And he was born in Prussia to a middle-class family, and he later studied economy and other forms of philosophies. David Durkheim, 1858 to 1917, another French philosopher, and he was also a psychologist, and he formally, as I said, established the academic discipline in conjunction with Karl Marx and Max Weber. And they're principally the fathers of sociology. Karl Max Weber, German sociologist, and he profoundly, as I indicated previously, social theory and social research. These three were very, very important in the evolution of sociology and the social sciences. In the 20th century, social sciences is now the term that is more commonly used. And it's not just sociology, but it's all those disciplines which we've spoken about that fit under this umbrella. You've got human geography, economics, language or linguistics, political science, anthropology, communication, psychology, criminology, law, cultural studies, etc. They all come under the umbrella of social sciences. So what then are people's views on social sciences? And if you haven't already come to appreciate it through behavioural sciences, you will, I hope, appreciate it more, because this is one of the most interesting subjects to study. Why? Because it's about human behaviour. And people really are fascinating. And you're going to have to deal with a lot of people in your career. Nursing is a people profession. It's not about numbers. So contemplate that as well in the future. When you want to start doing your research for your final year project, think about qualitative research, not quantitative research. Qualitative is about people. Quantitative is about statistics and numbers. Nurses are people. Nurses care for people. Nurses are people, people, people. So nurses deal with people, therefore it's about human behaviour. And it's about knowledge and understanding about communication, motivation, and conflict resolution. And this is very, very helpful in your career. So what are the views on the social sciences then? Well, social sciences can help you improve your understanding about your lives, personal as well as professional. It helps us improve our interactions with each other and provides insights into many social situations such as, look, raising children, your family relationships, your friendships, workplace relationships, interactions with strangers, which are going to be your patients, cultural differences and religious diversities, which are very profound in Malaysia. Does social sciences have any specific objectives? Well, yeah, they do. Social science has the objective or the aim to look at the welfare of individuals and society, look at justice and being fair, promoting peace and harmony, promoting mutual cooperation, providing materials and moral advancement, looking at personal freedom and protection of life and property. And as we already discussed, under the umbrella of social sciences comes human geography, economics, language, political sciences, anthropology, communication, looking at different cultures, law, criminology, the pathology related to sociology or the social sciences, looking at sociology and aspects related to psychology. There are 6 major social science disciplines, which we indicated before. And there are many others as well. However, the 6 major ones that we're going to cover during this course, and it doesn't stop you from looking at others and asking questions, are anthropology, sociology, economics, political science, geography, and psychology. When we look at anthropology as a social science, it's a study about what makes us human. It's a study of people worldwide, their history, behaviour, communication and socialization. And it focuses on the biological features of what makes us human. Human physiology, genetic structure and our evolution. And also social aspects such as language, culture, politics, family and religion. Anthropology is known as the science of humanity, and it covers a broad range of topics from human behaviour, specifically cultural relations development, and how the evolution of humanity, past and present, has influenced our current society. Here's an anthropological question. Why is death celebrated in some cultures? In Mexico, it's the Dia los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. In Malaysia, Hari Moyang. In Korea, it's Chuseok. In India, it's Pitru Paksha. In Japan, Obon. In China, the Hungry Ghost Festival. In Cambodia, Pukang Ben. In Bali, Galungan. In Ireland, it's referred to as a wake. Think about it. Why is death celebrated in some cultures? Then we look at sociology. And sociology as science, as a social science, is the study of the development of structure and functioning of our human society. It's the scientific study of the society, including the patterns of social relationships and social interaction and culture. And it focuses on a group of people that belong to that specific society. So, sociology then is the study of origin, development and structure of human society and the behaviours of the individuals and groups in that society. And it covers topics such as social class, religion, social mobility, education, urbanisation, population and sports. And we're going to be covering all that during this course. Here's a sociology question. Why is crime increasing in lower class income groups? So why is crime increasing amongst poor people or people who don't earn much money? And that can be related to every country and every related society of that country. In this course, we want you to think a little bit more in comparison to the behavioural sciences course. Now let's look at economics as a social science. And as I indicated, you're going to be looking at all of these as agents of socialization in forthcoming lectures. Economics as a social science analyses the production, the distribution and consumption of goods and services. So essentially, it's a supply and demand issue. And here's an economics question. Why are uncommon objects more expensive than common products? So, why is gold so expensive? Why is platinum so expensive? Why is plastic so cheap? That's an economics question. Think about it. Here's another economics question. Why are some common products more expensive than other common products? I mean, here we have petrol compared to water. In Saudi Arabia, when I was working there, water was more expensive than petrol. Why is that? Then we have politics. And politics, as a social science, studies organisations, institutions, especially governments. Is this to do with power? Here's a political science question. Why did politicians fail to deliver on their pre-election promises? It doesn't matter what country that you're in. Most people see politicians as being dishonest. They promise you the world before they're elected, and then they typically fail to deliver on their pre-election promises. Why? Why does that happen? Then you've got geography as a social science. And geography studies the physical world. Climate, plants, animals, human inhabitants, and the interaction between all these aspects related to the physical world. It looks at communities. It asks questions about people and their lives. And we don't cover this in any terrible great detail during this course. However, you can. And you can ask questions about it, which will be answered if you so choose to do so. It was interesting, Barack Obama, as a president of the United States, but even in his philosophy, he stated that the study of geography is more than just memorizing places on a map. It's about understanding the complexity of our world, appreciating the diversity of cultures that exist across continents. And in the end, it's about using all that knowledge to help bridge divides and bring people together. Here are some of the aspects related to the culture that he was referring to. Cultural awareness, cultural absolutely competence, cultural knowledge and cultural sensitivity. And these are all important aspects that are important for you to be aware of as a nurse. I mean, cultural awareness is to do about self-awareness, ethnocentricity, stereotyping people, and looking at cultural identities. And then if you know that, then you have some sort of cultural knowledge. And this can be related to health beliefs and behaviours, whether they're anthropological, socio-political, psychological, biological, understanding similarities and differences and appreciating that there are health inequalities. Look at your country. Look at Malaysia. But it's not unique to Malaysia, it's in every country. Then, with this knowledge that you're aware of, relates to cultural sensitivity. And as a consequence of that, you can be empathetic. You can be appreciating what your patient might be going through, or what people may be going through. And this relates to trust and communication, and accepting and not being judgmental. And this is about respect. And this then negates any barriers that there might be in relation to cultural sensitivity. And if you've achieved all those, then you are culturally competent. And this is very, very important when you provide assessment skills, diagnostic and clinical skills. And it's related to not being prejudicial or discriminatory and not looking about inequities. These are all aspects related to culture. And you'll be touching on these in semester 3 as well when we look at social sciences and health. Then you have psychology as a social science. And psychology is the scientific study of the human mind and its functions. And it studies mind and behaviour. However, it focuses on the individual as a person, not as a group. Here's a psychology question. Does violent media cause people to become violent? And you already know the answer to that because you touched on this in behavioural sciences when you looked at, for example, the Bobo doll experiment. And you looked at certain theorists that promoted that violent media does cause people to become violent. Now let's touch on social institutions. And this is just an overview because you'll be looking at these all in a lot more detail as we go through this course. And the social institutions are typically the major ones being family, education, government, economics and religion. But there are many more. When we look at family as a social institution, you're looking at mother, father, son, daughter. And there are role expectations for all these roles. However, there's the value here that we're all in this together. One for all and all for one. And the norms are basically to help one another and to treat parents with respect. And parents should be treating children, well, I don't believe equally, but certainly with respect and dignity. Children are children, parents are parents. Children obey their parents, and parents do the right thing by their children. Here's a family-related question for you to consider. Is family important? Simply, yes or no. And then you think about why. What are the functions of family? Well, the primary functions of family are that they're the building block of any society. And the family fulfills two basic functions, and these are reproduction and socialization. Society reproduces or recreates itself through the family. And there are lots of different families, whether it's the nuclear family, which that one's spelled incorrectly, or the joint family or extended family. Then you've got the secondary functions. Parents play the roles of nurturing, which basically is caring, teaching, training, educating their children. And children are expected to play the roles of being good and teachable learners. Then you've got education as a social institution. And education is an institution that passes on essential cultural knowledge to members of that society. And education is necessary to pass on information and knowledge of the culture from one generation to the next. Why do we go to school? Well, according to the functionalists, a key purpose of education is transmitting culture, and functionalists believe that social institutions contribute to the stability of society and teaching culture, which is essential if that society is going to survive. I mean, look at all the tribes here in Malaysia. And it's not just Malaysia, it could be in any country. Those tribes now, or those cultures that were unable to pass on their knowledge, their learning, their education, essentially the culture dies out. Then let's look at religion as a social institution. Religion, terminology-wise, is a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things. And we already spoke about Durkheim earlier, but he believed that religious bonds often transcend personal and diverse forces, and it offers people meaning and purpose to their lives. And if they are in terrible situations, which could be every day, or it could be sudden, the religion allows people as human beings to do something about the calamities or the terrible things that we have to face. It encourages us to view personal misfortunes as relatively unimportant. Pretty hard concept to think of, but it makes us feel better. So what are some of the functions that religion has? Religion is an agent of socialization. It promotes welfare. It promotes social control. Good, because it's about morals. It's about ethics. Religion also influences the economy, and it provides us with mental peace. When we pray, we communicate with God, and that makes us feel better. Religion gives man comfort, strength and hope, especially in times of crisis and despair. Then you've got government, power, as a social institution. And the purpose of government is to keep order and make group decisions. And it offers us all public services, defence of the nation, public order and safety, which is local defence, economic affairs, environmental protection, housing and community amenities, healthcare. It also offers us recreation, culture, and supports our religion. It offers us education and social protection. Then the last one that we'll be looking at as a social institution is the economy. And the economy is a social institution that's responsible for the production and distribution of goods. And there are two dominant economic systems in the world, and that's capitalism and socialism. Even though the third one, really, communism, we don't touch on. We do touch on it later on, but typically capitalism and socialism, even though you have in China communism, which is an important economic social institution. Capitalism is under which resources and means of production are essentially privately owned. Socialism is a system under which those resources are owned by society as a whole. So here we've got three. You've got capitalism, socialism in the middle, and communism. And in capitalism, the rewards a success is a free market, private property is owned, and rights protect us from the government. So essentially, if it's your property, the government can't take it from you. When you look at communism, at the other end of the continuum, you've got the abolition of private property. No one owns anything. And private property can be confiscated by the government. The government essentially owns everything. It's referred to as a totalitarian state. And the government therefore controls absolutely everything. In the middle is socialism. And socialism, again, you're not really owning anything here, so therefore it punishes success. It rewards laziness. And it redistributes wealth. And there's this mentality of collective ownership. So, which economy would be the one that you would promote? And why?